the computer practice N5 on your side?
No.
Not yet. Okay, let me
No.
quickly go back to Jitsi and say share my screen. Okay. Okay, quickly, let's see. Do you see this now? Do you see the question paper?
Yes.
Okay, wonderful. So I'm going to start off with the theory. As I speak, you can make notes and you can listen to what I'm saying. This is how your question paper is going to look on Monday. Okay, so this is a very good example. Like I told you, I've asked the moderator of the question paper on Monday to join us quickly to join the meeting with us. He's gonna do mail merge with you as well as a database. I will ask you to ask your partner to make you a coffee or bring you BioPlus, but you cannot miss this. If you have missed anything, if you know nothing, you will know everything you need to know on Monday. Okay, so just so you know what's going to go out about this morning, I'm going to go through the question paper, but I'm going to skip question 5 and 7 at the end. Mr. Herter is then going to join us to explain to you those two because I feel comfortable with him explaining to you as he was the examinator of your previous test and he's also the moderator of this internal question paper. So you can't get better than that. Okay, so let's start with question 1. Restoring the computer does not affect any. What is going to be the correct answer there? The first one is data files. The second one is personal files, application files, or program files. So which one is the correct answer? Remember, what happens when you store your computer? You are basically formatting and deleting everything that's on there. So there's one thing that is not going to be affected when you do restore your question or I want to now sign out with this, but now I can't. I want to fill and sign nevertheless. So that answer, if you did that on your own, is going to be B, which I can't see now. What got out with my screen? Cancel. Yes. Okay. So that answer is going to be your personal data files. All the other stuff will be able to be affected. Okay, so the correct answer there will be B. Then, when your computer gather data, which means remember I've explained to you in previous lessons that you need to tell the computer what to do. And by doing it, you're using devices we call input devices. So the fact that we can gather data means they allow users the input of data, which is also then to follow that it's also B. But that's the reason. Do you understand why it's B? And do you understand? You must stop me when you don't understand. I'm carrying on. Computers process data into information by working exclusively with. So the computers are processing the information that they give you. And it's almost like seeing the computer is having their own language. We call that a binary language. It consists of ones and zeros. Okay, in other words, ones and zeros is not a multimedia, it's not words, it's not characters, but it's numbers. So that correct answer would be a number. Okay, so that's D. A is a what? Approximately 1 billion bytes. Now remember I gave you those notes to tell you that 1 bit, or rather 8 bits, 8 small little blocks put together is 1 byte. So 1 million bytes is going to be equal to a megabyte. Okay, because you start off with bits, then it's bytes, then it is kilobytes, megabytes, gigabytes, and terabytes. So can you see if you have, let's say we go from meters to kilometers or from centimeters to kilometers to meter. Each time I go from meters to kilometers, I will multiply with 1,000 or divide by 1,000. Now it's the same with this. Because I'm going from bytes, the next one from bytes is not gonna be, it's first gonna be your kilobytes and then your megabytes. So you're gonna go with 1,000 and another 1,000 to get to that. I actually want to quickly see if I can just take you into Word. Can you still see my screen?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you see that I'm in Word now?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. So what I'm going to quickly explain to you, I'm going to sing this because this is a very nice thing to remember. So when I'm in a byte and I go from byte to megabyte to kilobyte to terabyte. Now I don't know if your maths teachers has ever shown you this. Sorry, I'm taking a bit of your time now, but I want you to understand this because I still get confused with this. So I'm going to make a print screen of this for you, then I'm going to send it on the group, okay? Because you most probably going to get something similar to this in your question paper. So I'm just looking for a little arrow. Okay. So when I go, basically, they are asking you what is going to be what is that equal to, okay? So what I want you to understand is if I can draw this, like you've got those conversion tables in maths where you go from kilometers to meters, etc. Okay, and this is
Yes.
going to be the same. So every time you move from the one side to the other, you are going to multiply with 1,000. Okay, so when I am here and I multiply with 1,000, let me just quickly now you somewhere get to see your practice your little shapes for Word as well. Okay, so every time that I go from one side to the other, I will multiply by 1,000. So that's why when I get to kilo, 1,000 is going to have 3 zeros and another 3 zeros, which is 1,000,000. Okay, so if I can go back to my question paper, do you understand why that is then equal to 1,000,000 bytes? Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, wonderful. I'm carrying on. Word processing, spreadsheets, and photo editings are examples of what? Now, before I'm going to answer this question, I want you to understand what is the difference between this kind of software. Okay? You get different software. You get what we called VoIP software. That's voice over internet protocol. That is your things like we're doing now. For instance, Jitsi is a VoIP software. It's where you can speak on a microphone and a video. That includes Skype or WhatsApp calls. Then you have something like an application software. Now, a very familiar application software for you that uses Android will be WhatsApp. Okay, that's an application. That's why we call it apps, application software. Then you have a system software, which will then operate your system. Like for instance, your Microsoft Office will then control almost your Microsoft, your Excel, in your Word, which is your application software. Okay? So there I've given you the answer, but I want you to understand that word processing and spreadsheets are all application software. So it's part of a system software. So the system of software is Microsoft Office and the operating system is Windows. Can you see the difference, darlings? When you switch on your
Yes, ma'am.
computer, then Windows is your operating system. That operates it's almost like if you compare it to your phone. Android is your operating system on your phone. That's why some of these new UIE things I can't pronounce, sounds like a Hawaii. Those phones doesn't let you use Microsoft Team meetings, or you can't log into some of the government documents because they use Google Chrome. And that Google Chrome does, or rather, the UI doesn't support Android, and the Android doesn't support, if you don't have that, then you can't use Chrome. So can you see why you need a specific operating system in order to operate on a specific application software? You can't have, for instance, a Word based on an iOS of an Apple Mac. Can you see what I'm trying to say? You can't put a Ford engine into a Ferrari. Well, you can probably, but it won't work that well. Do you understand how operating systems and application software work together? Okay, can I just get an Irish no from somewhere?
Yes,
So
ma'am.
Okay,
if I
wonderful.
understand
So,
correctly, is it
do
going
you
to be
understand? Okay, so that answer is A. Okay, if I bore you, I'm sorry. Question 2 is also theory. Now remember, your test can either consist of 10 marks of multiple choice, or it can be 5 and then another 5 like this. But please listen carefully because this covers your theory. Now, they are telling you at question 2 to please choose the correct term, those given in brackets. Okay, so you need to tell them binary language. Now, if you go back to what I've just explained to you here, I said computers need a language to speak. Okay, that's why some programmers speak Java and C++. They've got their own language. Okay, but that language, just as Afrikaans and English have an alphabet, how we will put together our words, the computer also have an alphabet. Okay, so the language that computer speaks is a binary language, and the alphabet is zeros and ones. That is why we said here that progress, or the process of data, works with numbers. Can you see how 1.3 correlates with 2.1? So the correct answer there is going to be 0 and 1, not 0 and I, because I is a letter, not a number. Okay? I'm carrying on. If you want to raise your hand, you must just raise your hand. The control unit is part of the central processing unit or the random access memory. Now, I'm going to revise with you a couple of things while we're looking at 2.2. Remember, we need a brain in this computer. We need something in the computer that knows what to do when. Okay? It's like your own brain. When your brain tells you you are in the middle of this safari and there's a lion that's going to attack you, your brain will then excrete hormones that will make you flight or fight. You will run faster than you've ever run before because of adrenaline. Okay? I've seen this with my own eyes. We had strikes last year with the students, and one of the students literally jumped over a very high fence. I don't know how she did it, but she did it. And it was adrenaline coming from somewhere. So that's exactly just how your computer works. Your computer also needs a brain, and that brain is called the CPU, the Central Processing Unit. Okay, that is where all the controls come from. So that's why the answer is the CPU, which stands for Central Processing Unit. But I want you to understand what the other one is. Because if you don't know your work off by heart, then that is also going to sound correct. Random access memory is your RAM. Now remember, if those few of you who joined me on a class a week or so ago, you would remember I've explained to you that RAM is random access memory and ROM is read-only memory. Your RAM is your memory that is temporary, okay? And your ROM is your permanent memory. And then I also said that your ROM is the one that is non-volatile, okay? And your RAM is the one that is volatile, which needs the electricity. Okay? So just coming back to 2.2, that will be the CPU, which means Central Processing Unit. And you know the function of the CPU now. So they also like to ask you sometimes in a question, what is the heart or the brain of the computer? Then you will say the CPU or the Central Processing Unit, because that is where all the control starts. A process known as data mining or data capturing tracks trends and allows retailers to respond to consumers' buying patterns. Okay? So basically, I don't know if you heard about spyware and adware, but sometimes when you're on Google, then let's say you have searched for a certain type of mask. Let's say you wanted a foam mask that has a breathing space for COVID. And now 5 days later, you are just doing a Facebook thing, and here pops up some of the stuff. Okay? The reason why your computer does that is he looks at your Google search history. Okay? And that's why it's not really malicious. It's not invading your well, it is invading your privacy, but it's not really security offensive. It's just irritating. Like I spoke about the spam as well. So this is called the process known as when they do that, when they want to know what are you doing, what is your need, so that they can send you that, is called data mining. Okay? They mine for your data to see what is what. Okay, 2.4 says patient. What is life-size mannequins that have a pulse and a heartbeat and respond to procedures just like humans? I think you can both, not even if you have any clue, know it's robots. Okay? 2.5 says clicking on an icon or a dot with the mouse is a form of giving an instruction to a computer. Okay? That's got to be an icon. Because if you look in Word, there's little icons there. Look here, if I put my cursor on print, it will then give it instruction. By the way, what type of input is this? Or what is it, an input or an output? It is an input, and the type of input device I'm using is my mouse. Okay, just remember that as well, input-output devices. Okay, now I am going over to question 3. Now, darlings, if you are asleep, please take a sip of your coffee. I'm also going to take one now. You need to focus very well now. If you lose all 10 marks of your theory on Monday, which you won't because you listened to me, then please get the following things right. Please listen very carefully now. This is not difficult. I'm not sure if Mrs. Weber have explained this to you in detail, but it's absolutely it's a necessity that you do it exactly as I show you now. Okay? Because when you come to the external and you don't do your print screens as I'm going to show you now, they're going to give you 0. They're not even going to look at your print screens, even if everything is right, correctly done, the method. But if you printed it wrong, it's 0. Okay, I don't know if you were aware of that. Are you aware of that?
No, ma'am.
No. Yes, ma'am.
Please don't say no.
We came to art on Friday.
Okay, but I'm not going to bore you. I can take you through this. Ooh, there's a delay, so I guess I'm boring
Yes,
you.
ma'am,
Must
you
I
can
stop?
take us through it.
Okay, so I'm at question 3. This is gonna look exactly the same. Now, the first thing I want you to look at is, look here. 3.1 has a couple of instructions. Then you go to 3.2, it has a couple of instructions, 3.3 and 3.4. Darlings, can you see? This is one question. For this whole 3.1, you are only going to print one page. If you print one for each of that things you are getting right, even if it's correctly done, they are not going to mark it. Okay, very, very bad, but please listen carefully. And they are not going to tell you that, look here. They don't say anything of what. They just say insert examination number left. They don't tell you to print it out on one sheet. This is what you need to know. It's like not a secret. It's definitely not a secret. I don't know why people don't explain this to them. But in any way, here I am now. They are asking you to create the folder South Africa Wrestling Federation. Okay, so now you're going to go to your exam drive. I'm going to work in my drive. Okay, so let's just say I'm going to work in November 2019. And that one that I've created. So how do I create a folder? I right click, I say new, I say folder. Okay, and then they asked me to say it should be South African Wrestling Federation. Okay, so put on your caps lock and put in South African Wrestling. Okay, I'm not going to type in everything federation, but you have to do that. Now that is my folder. Okay, that is the folder. Now, let's go back to the question. It says 3.1.2. Move the folders, wrestling and weight to that folder you've just created now. But some people now do is they make a print screen of that now. Okay? So you need to go. They will give you those two. So you're going to select both of them and you're going to right click. You can copy them or cut them. If they say move, then I would say cut. If they say copy, make copies, then you can copy it. You will go into your one and you will say paste. Can you see now that if I look into my path, and this is how they will mark it. That's why if you make a print screen, all of that must be in there because now they see you made a South African Federation and that's going to be your exam drive. That's going to look different for you, but this is now my file allocation, my pathway. But inside South African Wrestling Federation, there's those two folders that you moved into. Let's go to 3.1.3. It says rename the file Commonwealth to Commonwealth Games in the wrestling folder. So now in the wrestling folder, there's already two files. Can you see the difference between files and folders? They are asking you to rename that Commonwealth to Commonwealth Games in the wrestling folder. I'm in the wrestling folder. This is the file. I right click. I say rename and I want it to be called common and then games. Okay. It's not correctly now. It must be capital letters, but the method is the same. I'm not going to waste time on that now. The 3.1.4, you're still not making any print screens yet. Okay, remember what I told you. You're doing 3.1 done and then you do a print screen. They are asking you to rename the file Olympic to Olympic Games. So again, we're still in that folder. They want that to be called rename. You right click, you rename and you say games. Okay, that is what I want. 3.5 is create an Excel file South African Youth Championship in the wrestling folder. So you must create this now. Okay, now quickly look at what I'm going to do. You're going to go to the South African Youth Championships. Okay, so we are in the South African Youth Championship. Okay, this looks like they have created this folder for you. In the wrestling, okay, in the wrestling folder. So I'm in the wrestling folder. So in here, there must be a South African Championship, but it must be an Excel file. Can you see? So what are you going to do? You're going to say right click and you're going to say new, but it's going to be a Excel document. Okay? not a Word, a Excel. But if they ask for so you're not going to go and open up Word and say save as. You're just going to say new and Excel, and then remember to take that out and put in the name. You're putting in the name of South African Youth Championship. So I'm just going to say it's SA Youth. You must obviously not do that on Monday. You must write it out, but I'm just saving time now. So can you see it's in the wrestling folder, created as an Excel file. Okay, that's 3.1.5. I'm at 3.1.6. Create a subfolder, South African events, in the wrestling folder. Okay? So basically, they want a folder in this folder. So you're just going to say new folder. Okay? That's a subfolder. And what is that you want to call it? You want to call it South African events. So I'm just going to say SA events. Again, you must write that whole thing out tomorrow or Monday. Okay, so that's SA events. 3.7 says, let's go back. Sort the contents in descending order to name. And then you must display the contents of the wrestling folder and make a sprint screen. Okay, so let's quickly go back to sorting this. So you are going to sort it, they say, according to name. So there's the name. If they ask for date, you would click there. If they ask for type and size, it will be there. But they're asking for name. So you click there. Can you see? They want it in descending order, which means they basically wanted, well, why are they not giving me that option now to modify that? Okay, so you just double click on that and it will take you there. Okay, so double click so that it will rearrange it. Okay, now this is the sprint screen you need to do of the whole of 3.1. So there's only one page that's going to be printed out. But before you print this out, another thing that must be there is your examination number and your question number right on all the printouts. But now you must realize that you are not allowed to have the same one. So this is what I'm going to explain to you. Are you all comfortable with doing print screens? Now please listen. It depends in which room you are writing. Okay? Because you are ODL students, you will most probably always write in the same location, which I would probably think it would be Mrs. Weber's class. Am I right? Are you
We
writing in
wrote in room 10, was it 106 or something? We never wrote in
106?
Mrs.
Okay.
Weber.
Let me just quickly ask, is 106 the one that has print screens that you need to control P? Johnny, does 106 have a normal print screens button or is it the one that you have to control P? Okay, so the rest is just print screens. Okay, so if that's good, because I'm just making sure there's a reason, because you would see on some of your keyboards, your print screens are on the FN keyboard. If I can explain it like that, if you're on a keyboard on your laptop, you would see a little FN next to your control. Do you see that? You have to press that together with print screens. And then it will give you that will give you the option to print screen. Okay, I just quickly want to see something. Okay, shift control shift. Okay, you can I know some people don't like shortcuts, but there's two shortcuts. There's actually a lot of shortcuts I like. I'm gonna teach you this now. If you don't want to use it, then use print screens, but you can practice that. So print screens is control print screen or just push the print screen. Either, or you can go to, I'm gonna quickly send you a photo on WhatsApp. Please quickly look on your WhatsApp. If you can, I'm quickly gonna send you a WhatsApp of what I'm doing now. So it's It's Shift, the window button, and S. Okay, so it's Shift, the window button, and S. When you press that, then that happens. Okay, I'm quickly sending that to you. Quickly see if you can just know what I'm talking about. And once you have done that, then you can make a print screen of what you want. So let's see, I'm going to make a print screen of that. Okay, then you have to go to a Word document. Okay, a new Word document. And remember, they've asked you to put in your examination number as a header on the left-hand side. So that's going to be your exam number. Most probably your ID. Just remember to delete all of that. And then on that side, you have your question number, which is going to be question 3.1. This is so important that you say 3.1. You will lose a mark if it says 3.1 and it's 3.2. Okay, and then I'm just going to make a screenshot. So can you see this is for the whole of 3.1? Okay, now there's two ways that you can do this. You can now go and say File, and you can say Save As, and then save it in your exam folder as question, let's say question 3.1. I would actually tell you to rather do this, okay, and then save it. And then you open up a new Word document for your 3.2, because if you now try to bogger up with the headers, that's going to be different. So let's see, if I go down, if you didn't put in a section break and you go down, it will create on your second page the same 3.1. So now you don't want to go bother about changing that. You don't have to have time now to do this. Is exams, okay? So what you just do is you print 3.1, you save it, you close it, and you open up a new Word for 3.2. Are you with me, darlings? Okay? I don't even know if you're still on Jitsi. Darlings, are you still here? Hello? Oh my God.